That's so mean.
Allegedly.
Oh man, that didn't sound as much like Gollum that time.
Allegedly.
There you go. There's Gollum.
Hey there. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Very nice.
How about yourself?
Good. Good. The weather's nice. It's going to start raining, but as of right now, it's pretty nice outside.
Yeah, I wish I felt sorry for you.
Well, it's not snowing where you are anymore, right?
No, but well, it's just finally getting sunny. But the other day, you said, "Oh, it's 80 something here." It was like 45 and really cold. So,
oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. I would cry if that happened to me. But you choose to live in a cold place, so there's that.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So how is everybody in the chat? Hopefully everybody's good. We're live on our YouTube channel right now, and we are going to be recording this one for our podcast as well. You'll be seeing the podcast coming out soon. We're getting everything edited and perfected for the podcast, but we've been talking to you guys about the Maura Murray case, and we talked about it at CrimeCon. We even had a little challenge going on between Gray and I.
That's right.
The challenge was, because this case has been covered so extensively, Gray felt like most people knew who Maura was and they knew the case. And I didn't think so. And I'm from the Northeast, so I always knew about her case. And Gray is a true crime professional, so he knew, of course. But after doing all that research, what were our stats? Do you remember?
Well, don't you remember? It was like on my channel, it was,
oh my gosh,
no, it was like 33% didn't know about it, and then on yours it was 50 something percent didn't know about it, but then it was like right in between, so maybe it's like 40 something percent.
What about the people we spoke to at CrimeCon?
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising that people actually at CrimeCon, some hadn't heard of it.
Many, yeah. I was definitely shocked that, when you go to CrimeCon, you have different levels of tickets that you can buy, and some are, extremely pricey. Mm-hmm. So you would think those are the people who absolutely know all the cases. And there were some of them who were like, no, who is that? And it surprised us. So we decided when we got back, we were going to take off with Maura's case, except it's been delayed quite a bit. There is so much information out there on this case. It's mind-boggling. So what Gray and I are trying to do, especially in this first one here, is give you what we know, what the facts are. If you start digging and going down the rabbit hole, you're going to find out that there are podcasts, there have been specials, there are tons of blogs and sites just dedicated, whole Reddit, forums dedicated to this case, because she vanished. It's a baffling case. She just vanished. So in this first couple of parts, we're going to go over facts, maps, details, and try and give you the basics in case you've never heard of it.
Well,
and that's it. Great.
Yeah. I mean, you can actually go, there's rabbit holes inside of the rabbit holes on this one. But if you really get rid of the rabbit holes and just stick with up at the higher level, you can kind of see what's likely going on. But then there's still just the one issue. Where the hell did she go? It's
where is she?
It's unbelievable. Just vanished.
It is
in the middle. Vanished in the blink of an eye, in a really tiny, small time frame, in a dark road at night. Well, we'll go over here in a minute, but man, it's just it's wild. Poof, gone.
Yeah, there aren't many that are like this that I know of myself, where the time frame of the disappearance is so small and there's nothing leading you in a specific direction. meaning physical evidence that would lead you down this road or that road or over here. There's nothing.
Yeah, and even the most likely scenario of where, what might have happened to her doesn't lead you in any direction either. I mean, she just was there and then vanished. It's crazy. But, should we get started?
It is very crazy. This is a crazy case, but it is extremely interesting and important because there is still a family searching and looking and concerned and wondering where their daughter is, where their sister is, where their friend is. So it kind of puts me and Gray in the same genre, if you will. He is very much about the cold case. He digs on those, and then I love to dig into these cases. So it's putting us together in one that we can both get equally into, I think. And you don't find that a lot with us because, I'm always like, I don't want to do a cold case.
But you've liked them more lately. Ones that we got.
I have liked them a lot more lately. They've been very interesting.
You just have to sort of get into them, and then you realize, wow, there's a lot of stuff here, and there's some of them nobody even talks about that are really incredibly interesting. And you sort of wonder how that one isn't talked about, and then this one has billions of people talking about it.
Yes, this one, it has a life of its own. It really, truly has a life of its own. It exists without YouTube, 100%. It exists on TikTok through her sister, Julie, who was also at CrimeCon. But it really exists out there with people who have dedicated their time for all of these years to dig on this. And they still update to this very minute. As I was researching this morning, there was something just posted 20 hours ago. So it is a constant, ongoing case that people have never let go of. They haven't. There are cases where it's really popular and then it kind of just goes away. That's not the case with Maura's story at all, from what I can tell. It is something people are consumed with. And with that brings a lot of opinions.
Well, I think the father, Fred, I think is his name. He's really kept it going in the media. I mean, in terms of having a parent that really just kind of keeps on going. I mean, he's been that. He just never relents.
I think it would be difficult for me to ever let go. Yeah. I think that Julie, her sister Julie, has really been the factor. She can't let go. Of course. How could you? If it's your sister, you just can't, even when there are no answers. But I feel like after watching them so closely since we've come back from CrimeCon and trying to scour everything, they truly believe that they are going to locate her someday. It's kind of like the Abby and Libby, where they feel like one day we're going to wake up and get that justice. It's very much the same in this case. They don't think, well, she's just gone.
In her case, it could be just looking for answers, because we don't know if there's a justice part of it until they actually find her, right? Because it could be that she just,
sure.
I mean, as far as anybody knows, it's possible that she wandered. Actually, it's hard to even say that. Again, it just sounds like she just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I'm laughing because I was just about to try to explain something, but then realize something about the footprints. So then it's like, oh, wait, never mind.
And I will say there's a ton I thought I knew about this case, and I totally debunked myself. Yeah. I thought I knew so many details because, being a Bostonian, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know Maura's case. No. And I had already read a book and listened to most of a podcast that is super detailed. We'll have all of our sources in the description. And then once the pod gets up in the notes, there's so much I didn't know. And there's so much we haven't even read yet. So,
Yeah, I think it's a good example.
Each time we go over this, it's a lot more.
I mean, it's a good example of, like just a second ago. See, when you're doing true crime and you're talking about something, and then there's a fact that stymies what you're about to say, you can't just kind of keep. Some people will just go, yeah, let me, and they'll say it anyways, and then there's people that don't know a case, so they'll go down that rabbit hole over there, but they shouldn't have ever gone down that because a fact already stopped that whole track. And so that, right when I was talking, I was thinking, wait a minute, those
well, she wandered into the woods.
Yeah, nope. I mean, you could always say that something like that's possible if they didn't just happen to see particularly where she went or something, or but it's like, it seems like they looked and they didn't see anything, and there was so I guess we'll get to that. So you want me to switch over to?
We will. Yeah, we've got to do our countdown here. Are you ready?
I think I've got. Yeah, okay. How are we going to count down?
1, 2, 3.
Oh wait. Okay, I didn't do it. I thought it was on 3. It was on 4 now.
It was on 12.
Yeah. I thought it was 1, 2, 3, right? But you were going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, come on. This is.
I don't know. I tried.
Now, if I was a woman, I would have just absolutely got it. You see, that's the difference. The girl code.
You are not invited into the girl code. Chris.
I'm learning though. I've learned some skills. I've learned a few phrases. Trying. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get going. This is going to be a very long series. I think I know that already. I think the main podcast on Maura's case is well over 100 episodes. We are not going to probably have 100 episodes, I don't think, but
definitely not.
You don't know, definitely not.
100.
You never know.
Well, yeah, I guess you never know.
This is the case that I'm so consumed with it now. I in any case, here we go. So Maura Murray, part 1, vanished, and this was now 18 years ago. And I want to give people just a tiny bit of insight on who she was, and that'll come more later. You'll get a sense of the person, but just very briefly, she attended both West Point and UMass Amherst. She was an amazing athlete. She broke records in track. She also made the dean's list a couple of times. She was very close with her family, and she had a boyfriend at the time that she disappeared. His name's Bill. You'll hear more about him later. She's been described kind of as a loner, but not in the way that you'd think, oh, she just doesn't like people. She just was more on the reserve side, but she did have a close group of friends. She worked at an art gallery. She also worked at the front desk security at her school. And it was 2004 when she vanished. Her case has had books written about it, numerous podcasts, hundreds of articles. And we're going to use some of that information to try to help piece together her final known days, just as many before us have done, and I'm sure many after us will do. We have no indication of what ultimately happened to her. But her story should stay out there. It's important, so we're going to cover it. We're going to go over a little bit the immediate days, the immediate ones before she vanished. On February 5th of 2004, it was around 10:20 p.m., Maura was having a phone conversation with her oldest sister, Kathleen, her older sister. Maura was at work at the security position, sitting at the desk. She was talking to her. A few hours later, she was described as being in a catatonic state by her supervisor. She was crying, and the only thing that she said was, "My sister, my sister." The supervisor couldn't really get out of her what happened. What happened to your sister? And this, again, was 3 hours after the phone conversation.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, if there was something that was so severe that the sister said that she would be in a catatonic state and just like in shock almost, right?
Her sisters have been spoken to. Sadly, Kathleen has passed away. But Julie said that the conversations were totally nothing out of the norm. I do have something that Kathleen said. There was nothing. It was regular talk, nothing shocking or surprising, nothing that should have made her sad or upset, except that Kathleen may have relapsed. So she may have been drinking. But hours after the event, would she have been that upset? Kathleen didn't seem to think so, and Julie was very unsure about that. So the supervisor walks her back to her dorm around 1:20 in the morning. Now, this is Maura's dad, Fred, and I've listened to him on some of Julie's TikToks, and I've read a lot about him, and people describe him as that northeastern guy, the Bostonian guy with the accent. I will say, and I've told Gray this, in his older years now, which hopefully I'm going to get permission from Julie to show some of their videos on our podcast on here, he reminds me so very much of my own stepdad. Hearing him talk, if my eyes were closed, I'd almost think it was him. But they were very close. He was coming down to see her at college. They were going to go car shopping because she had an 8-year-old car at the time. It was not running very well at all. And according to Julie, her dad was very old school. I can attest to the fact that my stepdad despised banks. When he passed, there was cash hidden everywhere. It was in the ceilings. It was underneath things. It was in his sock. There was cash everywhere. He very much believed you pay for it in cash and that's it.
That's what my bio dad did. That he didn't believe in banks at all, and he passed away. And then when we went to his house after. I mean, law enforcement didn't even know he existed because he was a, reclusive father. But he was an artist. So we went through the house and we knew that he did this. So I was in the bathroom, and underneath the sink, I reached up with my hand like this, and I underneath the, like you go underneath the counter, and went ding, and I $7,900 in $100 bills.
Absolutely.
All the other cubby holes were empty because there was somebody that actually built them that was there at the house before we got there. But we can't. What do you say, right? But anyway.
Right. Yeah. When I heard the cash thing, I'm sure it sounded really weird to a lot of people. Well, why was he stopping at these ATMs, taking out what he could take out? ATMs have max. Sometimes it's 500 at one, 1,500 at another. In any case, he made stops at a few and withdrew a total of $4,000. He brought it up there. They did go car shopping. She talked to her sister after that and said, we kind of narrowed it down to 2 cars, but they needed more money. So he said, okay, I'll return maybe the next weekend and, I'll bring more cash and we can go get the car. That night, they ended up going to dinner, and Maura's friend, Kate, joined them. So Fred ended up that night returning to his motel room that he was staying at while he was down there. And then Kate and Maura went to a party allegedly at Kate's dorm. Other people have said that they didn't think that it would be at the dorm because UMass Amherst is very strict about that kind of stuff. Additionally, they used Fred's car. And unless you've got your parking information on your car, I don't believe that you can park on the property of UMass. You would have had to park much further away. I'm connected to UMass Boston, and I know that is very true. You can't even get in the gate without a pass. So some people say that it was at a house. Other people say that it was at the dorm. Either way, they used Fred's car.
And it was a new car, right? His car.
He had a new Toyota Corolla. And they dropped him off, and then they went to the potty. But it was weird because they were there a few hours and she was saying that she had to go return the car. And a friend thought, well, that's odd. Why don't you just return it tomorrow when you go to see him tomorrow? Why do you have to return it in the middle of the night now? But in any case, she did. That's what she was going to do. Unfortunately, as she was going to do that, traveling from the party to her dad's motel, she ends up in a car accident. And the damage to the car was between $8,000 and $10,000. So she hops in with a tow truck driver and he takes her back to the motel. She wasn't arrested. Now we know she had likely been drinking at the party. So she wasn't arrested. Nothing happened to her for this accident. They towed the car. They bring her back to the motel room. She goes in. She doesn't immediately wake him up. She comes in and uses her dad's cell phone, 4:49 a.m., and calls her boyfriend. She's very upset that she crashed her dad's car. She ends up, going to sleep. And my understanding is her dad woke up around 10. She woke up about 10:30 and she told him about the car. And, of course, he said, I wasn't angry. I wasn't furious with her. But
was it an accident?
I'm sure he wasn't happy.
Was it an accident where the police had to show up to the scene?
Yeah, the police showed up.
So she wasn't drinking or anything?
They did not give her any road sobriety test. As far as I know, she hopped into the tow truck driver's car.
Who goes to a party, though, till 2:30 in the morning and you're not really having a beer, especially when you're in college? You're not drinking.
Very possible, yeah.
So you could have two situations. This situation here where she's drinking, drove her father's new car, and crashed it, going to a party. And her dad's even in town because they're looking for a car for her, and right now she's probably feeling like crap. She's
feeling bad. Yeah, she was very disappointed in herself, very much because she felt like she disappointed him. Oh my gosh, he's down here, he's helping me. This is a mess, But first he thought he didn't have the insurance to cover it. Then he found out he did, and he told her, "Listen, it's fine. It's going to be covered. I'm going to get a rental. I'm going to bring you back to your dorm. I got to go back to work." He was, the way that I understand it, he wasn't going back home. He was going to the place that he was staying to work. He was working on a job location. So he was fine. The car ended up getting fixed. He got a rental. He went back to work. Okay. Now we're going to get into the timeline of everything that I could find. And this timeline, I feel like the timeline is very important because it shows intent, right? Or we think that it does. If in our mind we're thinking she was running away, you can twist this to make it seem that way. Or you can look at it from a different perspective and say, oh, well, maybe she wasn't. Because why would she be doing these things if she was running away, right?
Why would you send in your homework, for example?
Exactly. Who would care, right? Yeah. So February 9th, 3:32 a.m., she sends an email. She completed her homework and sends in this email. Now, there's a theory out there that when Maura disappeared, she was pregnant because of this. She was actually doing homework on pregnancy terms. That's what was assigned to her. So she wasn't searching for those things because she was pregnant. She was searching for those things because that was what the homework was. So she ends up emailing it at 3:32 a.m. and sends it out. By 1 p.m., she makes a call regarding a condo rental in Bartlett, New Hampshire. She did not end up renting the property. The people who answered the phone weren't interviewed for an entire year. And they vaguely remembered, she called. We know that we didn't rent her anything. We can't say if we referred her somewhere else, but no, she didn't rent it. 1:13 p.m., she called a fellow nursing student to return scrubs. This is something that's been looked at as well, that she was giving away her scrubs. She wasn't. She was returning ones that she borrowed. They were borrowed, so she returned them. That's it. We have to remember, too, she's just coming off winter break. So we'll get to that part here in just a minute.
So this February 9th, that's the day. So the car wreck was the day before?
Yes. So the car wreck was February 7th, so right? That's the day that they were looking.
Okay, so the 8th, early in the morning.
Kind of the 8th, yeah.
Okay,
and then this is the 9th.
So 24 hours later. So anything interesting going on between, basically a 24-hour period between when she was dropped off at the hotel and this email sent out?
No, nothing that I know of. Just people could allege that she was packing her stuff up.
Yeah, you could say probably argue, talking with her dad about the accident, trying to figure out what to do. I'm sure that took up a lot of the conversation. That's a big deal.
It did, because she was supposed to go get forms from the police station regarding the accident, and she did. She actually did make that trip. She went and got those forms. So again, she was doing things that were responsible, rational person would be doing, her homework. She wanted to go away maybe for a few days. She ends up calling 1-800-GHOSTO. And if you're from the Northeast, then you know what this is. You call up, they'll give you a bunch of different destinations, pricing, events, all of that stuff. But at the time, there was no live operator, so she just listened to the recording, and then that was that. At 2:18 p.m., she sent an email and also left a voicemail. I'm not sure of the time of the email, but it was to her boyfriend, and it said, "Love you more, stud. I got your message, but honestly, I didn't feel like talking to much of anyone. I promised to call you today." At 2:18, she left him a voicemail. It says, "I love you. I miss you. I want to talk." Now, her dorm room. When you look at the photos of her dorm room, you'll see that there were boxes packed neatly in the dorm room. And her sister, Julie, had a good question. And that's the only TikTok video I did include because it does lend detail to this part. And I didn't want to use her stuff without asking. So I'm still waiting on the rest.
Yeah, that's why I was always wondering what it says right there, because I was thinking, well, how do you know, she hadn't unpacked the boxes, I mean, so that's the thing is like, how do you know for sure what the reasoning for the packaging is?
Mm-hmm. Because she was just coming off of winter break, and she may have packed up her boxes. Winter break is long, and so she packs up, she returns, she hasn't unpacked fully, but she did unpack some. And we know that she unpacked some from this. Oh, whoop.
There's a lot of debate on the condition of my sister Maura's.
No, that's pretty bad audio.
I'm going to turn it up. Hold on.
Let me share something.
Let me see if I can get it turned up here. Okay, let's see if this is any better.
There's a lot of debate on the condition of my sister Maura's UMass dorm room. Was it packed or unpacked? Let me share something. I gave Maura this jacket for Christmas a month before she disappeared. This is a picture of Maura's dorm room after she disappeared. This is the jacket I gave her for Christmas. Clearly, this is something she unpacked from winter break. This is one of the reasons why I believe she hadn't finished unpacking from Christmas break. Now, it's a small detail, but I think it's important. What do you guys think?
Well, how about she just had the jacket on when she got back to the dorm room? I mean, like, the thing is it's a jacket, right? She might have liked the jacket, and maybe she wore it back to the dorm room and hung it up, and it wasn't in a box that she had to unpack, right? Like, see,
Possible.
I don't know if that's something that I would hang my hat on, but that wasn't unpacked.
No, there are a lot of small details like this, though, that end up coming up. And when you put them all together, you're thinking, so is that possible?
Yeah.
Or is it not possible? But I don't know.
On your previous slide, the 1 o'clock, I think that's probably the biggest travesty in the entire case almost. I mean, if you had actually talked to those people within a day or two, maybe within a week even, it's one of the biggest, well, not travesties, but in terms of the investigation, that call might have really helped out a lot. I mean, it
agree.
Seems it's ridiculous that it took a year to finally start looking at stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Between 3 and 3:10, she left her dorm. At 3:15 p.m., she went to an ATM and withdrew $280. She left very little money, under $100 in her account at that point. We don't know when. I don't know when she was getting paid after this. She may have had money coming in. I'm not sure. She may have known she was going to be driving along remote areas to get where she needed to go, so she wanted to have cash with her, which totally makes sense to me.
Did she have more? Well, let me ask him. Did she have more money in her account than that?
She did.
So why
it was under $100. She just left like $60 or something. I don't even know what it was that she left in there.
It just seems like such a random. Like, why not 300? You know. I mean, 280, right? Like, that seems like you're specifically figuring something out and trying to. I mean, I don't know.
Well, maybe you have to leave a certain balance in your account, though.
Yeah, maybe.
There are accounts that you'll get charged a fee if you go under a certain amount. So possibly that was the reason. I don't know. At 3:43, she makes a stop at a liquor store. She purchased Bailey's, Kahlua, vodka, and wine. At 4:47 p.m., she checks her voicemail. This will be the last time that her phone has any activity. At 7:25 p.m., Faith Westman hears a crash outside of her house. She looks out the window. At 7:27, she calls 911. She calls to report the accident. She states that she sees a man with a cigarette in the car. Her husband believes that he's seeing a woman using a cell phone. Now, they're both in the same house, looking out the window, trying to see what is going on out there. Just for reference here, too, you can see it's 3:15 and 37 seconds on the 9th of 2004, and this is her at the ATM machine.
That does look like the same jacket in that, but I know the sister said maybe it's not because of something.
Because this one has a hood, as far as we know.
Couldn't that just be a hoodie?
Very dark here.
Couldn't that just be a hoodie or something underneath that's trailing over the top? I mean, it's amazing to have such a similar look and not have it be the jacket.
I think that this one also, too, has a Nike sign, and this is pretty grainy. Yeah. It's really hard to tell. I've tried to enhance it a bit, but this almost looks more grayish. That just could be because in 2004 and still today, some of the ATM stuff is horrible. Yeah. So you can't really get a great visual on it.
And also you'd have to see how blown out the light is outside of it. So you'd have to darken it up to make that what it would really look like. So that would be much darker. Yeah, they've brightened that up to see her face better, but not the clothing.
7:43, a very important witness. Bus driver Butch Atwood called 911 after speaking to Maura at the accident scene. We are going to do a whole episode about the witnesses, what was said, the differences in what was said, what's gone on since then with these different things, but that's another whole podcast. At 7:46, the police arrive. Now, obviously, they did not arrive in 3 minutes based on Butch's phone call. They arrived on Faith's 7:27 phone call. When the police get there, Maura is not on the scene. 7:43, Butch sees her. He speaks to her. Well, let me not say 7:43. His house is literally right there. It's 100 feet off in the distance, right? So he's driving, and he says to her, "Do you want to just get in?" And she says, "No." So he tells her, I'll go call the police for you. And she says, "No, that's fine. I already called AAA." So he drives to his house, and within 3 minutes, the police are on scene based on this phone call. They don't even know about this one yet. The police who are on the scene, they don't know about it yet.
Yeah. So we were actually talking about the, her calling AAA. I mean, when Butch gets there, she's covered up in this airbag. Like he could just barely see her head, right? So that's what he says, right?
There are 3 versions of what Butch says.
Yeah. So you can see her.
One, Maura's out of the car, and he can tell her height. One, he comes to the window and flashes the light into the car, and he can see what's going on in the car. He can see her very, very clearly. He's able to give a great description. The one where she's out of the car, he's talking to her from 20 feet away. Then he flashes the light in the car. Then her face is covered by the airbag.
And plus,
that's another whole show.
And plus, there's no cell service out there, so there wouldn't have been a phone call. So, and
he knew that. He said, "There's no way because you've got to go over here to make a phone call."
I'd like to. Right? I mean, I think the early newspaper articles are probably the more accurate version of what Atwood said. It seems like over the years things have changed up, but there's articles that are from like 2 days later, and I was showing you those, so they're quite a bit different, right? Like. Yeah.
And one that you found said that he thought she was intoxicated. But I have one from then also.
The same time frame?
Sent you yet. Yes. Where it says she did not appear intoxicated.
Yeah. But it made sense.
So it's a lot.
So that's weird.
Which is why this has been so.
Yeah. And you can see why Atwood to some people they always get a little sketchy on him. Because his stories are so, opposite. They're not like just slight little. Well, I mean, when I said I could see her whole head. It was really just part of it. It's like standing up outside the car, or buried by a airbag.
You can't have that both ways. That one's not going to work. So then, this is Faith's call. This is the recording. We don't have the voice recording, but can you read it clearly, Gray, or you can't see it? Because I can see it great, but I don't know if you can.
A little bit. Let me just see. I guess I would. So I would be G1, maybe.
You would.
All right. I can try it, or I can open up my version.
Yeah. Why don't you open up your version and go to page 11?
Okay, just a second.
And then we can both see it.
It might take a second.
Okay.
By the way, earlier you said she was at the potty, and I was like, wow, she's on the toilet? But you actually...
Party. Party.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Second.
She was at the potty, guys.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. Hey,
you thought that too, Pomegranate? I'm sorry. Party.
Yeah,
for all of you listening out there.
You've been going in and out of your Boston accent, like as you're feeling like you're there. I can tell.
Absolutely. The more I listened to Julie, Julie doesn't have that strong accent from Northeast, but oh my gosh, does her father. Oh my goodness. So the more I listened to him, the more it just brought me back, and I was like, oh man. I don't know.
I'm opening it up right now. So page 11, you're saying?
Yes, sir. Page 11, and then we can read these. Oops. You knew what I meant, but it was definitely potty.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. Yeah.
Well, for those who listen to the audio of this, potty is also party.
Yeah, and also
it's difficult
when you
to
said
say.
Liquor store, I was thought for sure
Liquor
you'd say
store.
I thought you'd say liquor, but you didn't. You said liquor.
I'm trying hard here, hard, not hard, but hard.
Okay. All right. So it's weird. It says Grafton County. Oh, wait, that's actually what they say completely there, right?
Yes, we're going to go over exactly what they say. UBG1 and I'll be FW.
All right. Grafton County Dispatcher, Marsh, can I help you?
Yes. We apparently have a car that's gone off the road here outside our home.
Okay. Is anybody hurt?
I haven't gone out to investigate.
Okay. Oh, then are you in? Are you in? Let's see. You are in Bath, correct?
No, Haverhill. I'm on the Weathered Barn.
Oh, you're on the Weathered Barn. Okay.
And then I think they transfer them, so you become maybe D1 as well.
Okay, so G1. So it still says D1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Grafton, this is 911. Show it as, I don't know what that means, but. And then I say again. Right. Yep. That's Haverhill. Okay. Is this Faith?
Yes.
I'm speaking with?
Yes.
And is your number blank?
Correct.
And your address?
Right. Around the corner from the barn.
And then I'll be sending an officer.
Okay. Thanks.
Where are
now
you?
This one, the next page is the Butch Atwood call.
I was on a whole different page than you were, but all right. And then Hanover Dispatcher.
Yes, good evening. Is this Grafton County?
Hi.
Okay, my name is Butch Atwood. I'm out of the road here by the Weathered Red Barn. You got a single car motor vehicle accident. He hit a pine tree and the airbag is deployed.
What town is this in?
What town is this in?
Yeah.
Woodsville.
Dispatch? Hello? Dispatch, this is 911. Is secondary for Woodsville. I'm sorry, I'm talking to one of my supervisors. Oh, okay. So the information again was...
Yep, by the Weathered Red Barn in North Haverhill.
Any injury?
She's shaken up. No blood that I could see, but the airbag was deployed. Heavy damage. It's right on the bad corner, right at the Weathered Barn there. It's about 3.4 miles from Junction 302 on 112 or the Wild Anamusic Road. Same road.
Okay.
It's a single female.
Oh, and what is your name?
My name is Butch Atwood.
Okay, and phone number?
I'm on...
Okay, and phone number for you in case Grafton has any more questions for you.
He gives us phone number.
And then, okay.
All right, what happened to all the phone lines in Grafton?
I have no idea. We haven't been told of anything.
Everyone I rang didn't go through.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah.
So what happened to all the phone lines? So that tells us that he was trying to make the call even before here, 7:43. So we know that the crash happened that was heard, at 7:25 is when Faith hears it. She calls it 7:27. He's driving past her, right? And calls 911 at 7:43. The police get there at 7:46. I believe he tried to call and couldn't get through and then called again and was able to get through. So there's that. But now...
So he probably came across her much earlier than the 7:43. I mean, it has to be
A few minutes earlier, sure, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even just say...
Because he's not far from there.
And one of the things, didn't he say he went home first and then walked back? Like, he put his bus over there and then he came back with his flashlight? He didn't, like, stop his bus on the road, right?
No, he did not stop his bus on the road.
Yeah, so that means he took his bus... I mean,
he didn't stop, get out with... Well, see, we can't get into that yet, Gray, because there's so much to it.
Okay.
That we're going to say the wrong thing, and then it's going to be confused because he has so many stories.
And we'll get in trouble
allegedly.
By the experts. We'll get in trouble.
Yes, we will. All right. So at 7:27, Faith Westman called to advise of a vehicle in the ditch, right on sharp turn after the weathered barn. Unknown if personal injury, but can see a man in vehicle smoking a cigarette. Was EB maybe Route 112, but ended up was eastbound on Route 112, but ended up in westbound ditch facing westbound.
I mean, I can show.
So
the
this
map
is
here.
what they said that she said.
Do you want to do the map? Like, I mean, I think it's important for people to see what we're looking at.
Yes.
So I can do it. Should I go to the middle? You might have to hit your little button there. So 3, 2, 1, ding. Wow, that was incredible.
that was pretty slick.
That was
my
amazing.
friend.
There was no... All right, so I think this might be the lady that called, but I don't know 100%. This house right here, because it's right there. So she was driving this way on this road, like this, and then the front left part of her car had the damage on it. So I'm not sure how that worked. Did she hit over here and then spin out? Like, see, if you think about a left part of your car hitting, the back right would start spinning to the right. So right there maybe, and then maybe she slid over here. I don't know, because I wasn't there to mark everything, but her car.
The theory from one of the private investigators is that her car may have hit a truck gently, not hard, under it and gotten damage to the top of it. Because if you hit a snowbank, your car ends up with snow on it, right?
Yeah.
Also, snow, if it's ice, it's going to do some damage to your car, maybe. But the snow that was there.
But they think she hit another vehicle? Another vehicle there?
One of the private investigators does believe that. That she may have hit like right underneath of a vehicle.
So but I mean, it seems like over the years, that's just, it's a hit and run, I guess. But anyways, right here, her car was facing this direction. So actually like that. So she spun around. And what it looks like, on the ground there's the little memorial ribbon they put there. And her car was facing towards the camera right here. And then apparently Atwood lives right down the road right here. So if you figure, he's driving around, he sees the wreck, pulls his truck into his house, then gets out, walks down here, if this is how it went, with his flashlight, and looked into the vehicle, that might take a minute. But didn't he even say, after he spoke to her, did he call right from there, or did he go back home to call?
He was at home from the first time that he saw her, and that's when he called.
Yeah, but he went home first with his bus, right?
He went directly home with his bus after seeing her on the road,
then
and made the phone
back.
call.
Oh, he made the phone call first, then went there with his flashlight.
We don't know that to be true. When we go through his statements, we can determine that, but I would not make that assumption at this point in time. I don't know if those are sequence of events or different stories, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, the thing is,
I don't know if he said, I went home and I came back with a flashlight.
Well, it makes more sense given the timing.
If he said, I shined my flashlight in.
Yeah, but it makes more sense with the timing, because you've got
the 27th. It doesn't, because he called at 7:43.
That's why I'm saying it makes more sense.
The police were there at 7:46.
No, that's why I'm saying it makes more sense. What I'm saying is that she called at 7:27, then the police were responding to that call, but he drives home after seeing it, let's say at 7:29 or something, right? He drives by, parks his car there, then he gets out of the bus, right? And then he walks over there, sees her, then he makes a call. So it's many minutes later, but a call had already been made 16 minutes prior. That's why
I don't think he's ever said anything like that. No.
But he did call.
I don't think he's said, I saw her, I went home, I came back out, then I went back. No.
But I thought when I was reading the article that he had gone home and then he walked over there because he flashed his flashlight in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he must have made the call. I mean, he could have made it after he drove the bus home after passing her, right? But he could have also made it after going home, going to the scene, looking there, so he knew what he was talking about, then calling, because there's this huge gap of time, and that's a long time to just be sitting in your car. He saw her when she was still sitting in the car, right? So you think from 7... Remember, well, he does say that sometimes, that she's still...
Sometimes.
Right, so you can't say no. That is what he says sometimes. Yeah, so she's either standing outside, she's either standing out, or she's still in the car. We don't really know, but if she's still sitting in the car, that's like 16 minutes of sitting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just sitting there doing nothing.
Waiting, right.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
So there you go. See, there's almost like too many pieces of information.
This is why we have to handle them all separately. Yeah. Because if we don't, now we're on the rabbit hole of Butch. And it is a rabbit hole. Right?
Looking forward to that one.
Oh, I'm so sure. It's going to be exciting times. Yeah. It's probably the next one, actually. But it's a mess. So.
All right. I want to go back to the...
Yeah, I'm going to actually, show a picture of the car to see if maybe you'll agree.
Let's see.
1.
Well, I can't remember which one I'm clicking. Oh, yeah. I can do it again. I'll do it my way. 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, it's pretty good.
We're so good at this.
See, there's the damage on the front left right there.
See this? Yeah, this is the front driver's side. So it's like...
It's really...
that.
Like a sharp...
I mean, if you hit a tree, wouldn't it be like scrunched?
Yeah, but if you were looking at the snowbank, I saw some photos where the snowbank's really high, so it's probably plowed through there. So let's say she swerved over with the front left near that lady's house that called in, and then sort of spun out down the road. That would make sense to hit the front left, but that's such a sharp little, like almost like hitting something hard, like one small little, like a pole almost, It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I actually had a much better photo. What did I do with that? Give me one sec. I thought it was almost in a better color. I don't know that I saved it. I thought that I did.
Yeah.
It gives us a better idea.
It seems like over the years there's a lot of people that have come up with stuff that, like as it became a story, they added stuff to it, and you don't really know if it's even true. All these different sightings of various police cars that are showing up. And I was just reading something. But.
Well, okay. No, I'll look for that after. We'll go over it after. But let's.
You still looking for another photo?
Where's Gray?
You can't see me? Oh.
I knocked us down. Hold on. Let me put us back up. Whoops. Okay. So let's go on with what we're doing. This is the police report written by the first officer who was there. His name is Cecil Smith. Let me bring that over here. And... okay. So this is Grafton County Sheriff's Department, cleared by Andrew Thomas, and it's narrative 2/9/2004, 1810, Anthony Stiles. It comes down here. These are different case, whatever happened. And then here is call taker Rhonda Marsh. Entered Rhonda Marsh, and it was the call from Faith Westman, and it goes over that. When they dispatched, it was 7:29 and 31 seconds. En route, 7:29 and 36 seconds. Arrival, 7:46 and 20 seconds. Cleared at 21:12 26:16. So 21 is 11, Gray? 11:26?
Which one? 2021?
21:26 would be 11:26.
I think it's 9, so, right? Because 24 is...
19 is 7. Yeah. So it's 9:26. 9:26. Okay. Ouch. So let's see what he had to say. All right. This is Frederick Murray, which was the owner of the car, which is who it was registered to. At 7:27, Faith Westman called to advise of the vehicle in the ditch right on sharp turn after the weathered barn. Unknown if injury, but can see a man in the vehicle smoking a cigarette. Was eastbound on Route 112, but ended up in westbound ditch facing westbound. Then it says narrative. 2/9/2004 at 7:48, Rhonda Marsh, who answered. At 7:43, Hanover Dispatch called to advise, got a 911 call for us. 911 advised all circuits busy, is for 10:25. Caller at blank, Butch Atwood resident. They advise one female, no personal injury, but shook up. Called the Atwood residence. Woman advised her husband saw the crash and came here to call, but no idea where the female is. 2/9/2004 at 7:54. H2 requests all fire units, BOL for female, a bolo, be on the lookout for a female about 5'7" on foot, victim of crash. This is at 7:54 p.m. He arrived at 7:46. Cecil did, the police officer. This says now to be on the lookout at 7:54. Then 2/9/2004 at 20:50, which is 8:50. H2 clear of scene. Tow company, I'm thinking, has the vehicle. Any luck locating the party, or has she shown at cottage? Advised partner working on will contact you.
Yeah.
So she reached out to them and said, did you guys find her? Do you know where she is?
So the first lady that called up there at 7:27, Faith called at 7:27. She's the one that from a distance said, oh, it looks like a guy smoking a cigarette. There wasn't a guy smoking a cigarette in the car. I guarantee it. Okay, it was her in there, but it probably allows people to come up with a whole bunch of conspiracy stuff around that.
Sure.
It's also, it seems like if the cops had just got there quicker, man, what a difference that would have made. Because if they'd been there before 7:43, when Atwood called, I mean, I don't know. We don't know exactly when she went missing because when he called 911, was he at home? At his house?
Well, Faith called first.
Yeah, at 7:27.
And they responded to Faith's, but it took them,
but I'm just saying,
minutes to get up there.
Was Atwood at home when he called 911?
Yes, he was.
So that makes that's 16 minutes there. So he obviously had to have went from, well, we don't know, right, again.
Well, he was driving home, so he drove past her. We think that he drove past her, according to him, just moments prior.
Yeah, but he got out and he had a flashlight, so he didn't stop his bus there. He must have gone with a flashlight. Now, did he? No, but here's the thing: did he call after he looked into the car, or was it after he got home, called first, then went back out there? He seemed to know specific information, though. So that's a lot of time. That's 16 minutes of time between the phone calls, and then they got there 3 minutes after his phone call. So they got there at 46.
Yeah, they definitely weren't responding to his. They didn't even know about his yet, or they were just notified that somebody else also called in about the same accident.
And how long does it take to get from where they would have been, the police, to the area, you think? Is it from that?
Depending on where they were prior to that, which we'll also get to when we get to Cecil.
So they might have
Cecil.
They might have been on their way there, even when Atwood called. Like he calls and they're already on their way because they're from a distance.
They are. Yeah. Right? Because it says that en route 9:29.
Okay.
Right?
Wow, yeah.
Arrival 1946.
So 3 minutes after his call. Yeah.
Right. It was 3 minutes. So here's a drawing that he did of the accident sketch. Vehicle, final rest here. There are trees there. Tire impression in the snow near one of the trees. And then here's what he writes. At 7:30 on 2/9 of 04, I responded to the report of a car into a tree. When I arrived, I noted the above vehicle parked facing west in the eastbound lane of Wild Ammonoosuc Road, Route 112. The vehicle was locked and there was no one in the area. I spoke to a witness who told me there was a young female behind the wheel and there were no other people in the vehicle. He spoke with the female who told him not to call the police. Now this is let's read this again here, at 7:30, right? He was called at 7:27. He did not get there until
7:46, I thought.
Arrived at 7:46.
Yeah.
So
is that just
see if he has a time on here. Monday, time of accident, 7:27. Police notified, 7:35.
Yeah.
Police arrived, 7:45. Ambulance arrived, 7:56. But when you go down to what he writes is at 7:30. I responded to the report of a car in a tree. I noted the above vehicle parked facing west in the eastbound lane on Route 112. The vehicle was locked and there was no one in the area. I spoke to a witness who told me there was a young female behind the wheel and there were no other people in the vehicle. He spoke with the female who told him not to call police. So let me stop it here really quick to say this. This witness is obviously Butch. Butch claims that Cecil came up to his door and pounded on it because he would have then been notified of the second call, right? And asked what he knew. He couldn't have done that at 7:30, obviously, because Butch didn't call until 7:46.
Yeah, that's just an error, the 9:30 time right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even so, he's saying he spoke to a witness who said that there was a young female behind the wheel and there were no other people in the vehicle. He spoke to her. She told him not to call police. So that tells me that the second phone call already came in. Phone records show the second phone call did not get placed until 7:46. So yes, this is a mistake, but it's a significant mistake because 7:46 is 16 minutes after this arrival on scene.
Yeah, but what if 7:30 is just the time that he got the call to head out there? You know? So like he goes, hey, I'm responding to this at 7:30, and then all these other things happen. So,
I guess.
So
which is fine.
Makes sense too, because 7:27 was the dispatch call, and then he's sent out he's responding at 7:30. So let's say. So what's the part that you're? That's kind of a
work phone call. Stop.
I spoke to a witness. She told me there was a young female.
He told me.
Yeah.
So he was responding to Faith's phone call.
Yeah.
That's all he knew about, allegedly, because that's the one he was dispatched for, Faith's. Then right after, Butch claims right after he called, the police were knocking on his door. So Cecil was probably notified that there was another person who was a witness, and he went to his door.
And they probably knew who he was because they're neighbors. You know, I mean, the lady did. Faith knew.
They did not knew.
Like,
they didn't know each other.
Well, you don't think Faith and Butch didn't know each other?
Faith and Butch did.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying like Faith probably mentioned, because they probably went to her house first, you would think, right? Because she was right there. You don't think that?
He doesn't say that he spoke to her at all.
Yeah.
Here yet.
Seems like just crappy
documenting,
and so then it allows you to come up with a whole bunch of conspiracy theories, and it's just, you know, if you think about it, like, she made the call, she's right there, she probably said, yeah, well, this other guy went right up to the car, that was Butch, and then he drives over to Butch's house and asks some questions.
Well, yes, but what us are trying to do is go by what we know.
Yeah, what they wrote down.
So we can't assume that perhaps Faith said this unless the documentation shows us that Faith said this.
Right.
And it doesn't. So evidence at the scene indicated the vehicle had been eastbound and had gone off the roadway, struck some trees, spun around, come back to a rest facing the wrong way in the eastbound lane. The driver's side of the windshield was cracked and both front airbags had been deployed. In plain sight, behind the driver's seat of the vehicle, I could see a box of Franzia wine. I could also see red liquid on the driver's side door and ceiling of the car. I made a search of the roadway in the area of the accident. I was assisted by fire, EMS personnel, and a resident of the area, which was Butch. The driver was not located. A later search of the vehicle indicated the driver was Maura Murray. When the vehicle was towed from the scene by Lavoie's, I recovered a Coke bottle that contained a red liquid with a strong alcoholic odor. See this for further details. So when you look here, March 8th, 2004. Sorry, I've got to let me see if I can rotate this so I can read it. You've got March 8th, 2004. Jeff Williams, who's the chief of police for the Haverhill Police Department. Dear Jeff, in reference to the motor vehicle accident on February 9th, 2004, the following people responded with the Woodsville ambulance. Richard Guy, Tim Levette. For the fire department, you had Brad Kennedy, Alan Wright, Jeffy Rabin, Abby Kennedy, Mark Locke, Kevin Van Norton, Bob Williams, and Whitney Mitchell. Should you need anything, contact firefighters, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so there's that. This is a state trooper who was also on the scene that night. This is his date of report. Yeah. His name is John Monaghan. On 2904 at approximately 7:30 hours.
That makes sense with that last one. See, 7:30.
Well, here's the dispatch, right? Yeah. So yes, you're right. I heard Haverhill PD get dispatched to a single motor vehicle collision on Route 112 near the Weathered Barn. Sergeant Cecil Smith responded. I overheard Grafton County Dispatch relay that the reporting party could see a single female in the driver's seat smoking a cigarette.
But we already know that she said it was a male. So it's like, it's weird how
she said it was a male.
Right.
Her husband was standing beside her saying it was a female with a cell phone.
Yeah, that's probably makes sense. That one.
Yeah, because she didn't smoke either, ever. So it could have been just a red light. Maybe she was trying to get service and she couldn't get any there.
Mm-hmm.
So I responded from Route 302 in Lisbon. While en route, I heard Sergeant Smith sign off, and a short time later, Woodsville Fire and Rescue. Sergeant Smith reported the female was no longer with the vehicle. Responding units began to look for a female on foot. I traveled Route 302 to Route 112. When I reached 112, I saw a dark-colored Subaru Subaru sedan at the junction of 302. I asked the female driver, who I did not identify, if she had seen a person on foot as she traveled the road. She said she had not. I continued up 112 with my spotlight on, checking the roadside as I went, but I did not see any evidence of foot travel on the road or the shoulder of the road. When I entered into Swiftwater Village, I saw a female known to me as Wilma Robinson of Bath, New Hampshire. Robinson was on foot. I asked if she had seen anyone walking. She told me she had not. She had just come from the Stage Stop store Route 112. She further advised no one had been in the store while she was there. She told me Bill, the store owner, was closing up. I arrived on the scene and spoke with Sergeant Smith. He advised he'd still not found the driver. I told him I would check the surrounding roads and see if I could find anyone. I saw a dark-colored Saturn had struck a tree on the eastern side of the corner at the weathered barn. I cleared the scene and traveled Route 112 west to Porter Road, crossed the covered bridge, and spotlighted the Big Eddy parking lot and did not see anyone nor any vehicles. I took the left onto Plains Road and traveled to Route 302. I drove 302 into the Woodsville, taking the left onto Swiftwater Road. I traveled Swiftwater Road to Goose Lane and then to French Pond Road. I traveled French Pond to 116, where I took the right, traveling 116 into Haverhill. I had on my spotlight on whenever possible. I did not see anyone on foot, nor did I notice any tracks on the road or leaving the roadway.
So while you're reading that, I'm looking at the map, and he went the wrong direction. He went the direction the car was headed, facing. Mm-hmm. He went the direction the car was facing. He went west by the store, went all the way over to, I'm looking at it right now, 302. Mm-hmm. It's way over the other direction. She was headed east, and her car just happened to be spun that way.
Spun west, right?
Right. So it wouldn't really, I mean, yeah, it's interesting that that lady that was walking didn't see her, but that's not the way she was going. I mean, if she got out of the car, she would still probably try to get to wherever she was going, whether she hitchhiked or, who knows? I mean, that's the moment right there. We don't have a clue. She just poof, right?
We don't. Poof.
Yeah.
Then we have contents of the car. The credit for this is Maura Murray evidence on Tumblr, and it shows the overview summary. When they looked inside, they found an open can of sky blue malt liquor in the front seat. In the back was a suitcase filled with clothes, a stuffed monkey, and a diamond necklace that her boyfriend Bill Rausch had given her, 2 textbooks, and another book, Not Without Peril, an account of people who died climbing New Hampshire's Mount Washington, bookmarked at a chapter titled A Question of Life or Death. This was from 17 magazine. That's what they claimed that they saw or that they heard. Black gloves. Fred claims that police gave their search dogs a new pair of gloves found in the back seat of the car but never worn as a scent for Maura, instead of something that would have been more identifiable like her running shoes. Note, in a 2020 phone call with Captain Bill Rausch, clarified that the black gloves had been worn. Empty beer bottle in the back seat. Fred said there was an empty beer bottle found in Maura's car. I was told by others that the bottle was in the back seat and the rear driver's side near the window. The window was open a crack. Perhaps someone was in the back seat of Maura's car at some point. Insurance forms. The day of the accident, she had picked up insurance forms related to an accident she had on February 7th, the one with her dad's car. Murray was going to have to call her father the night of February 9th to have him help her fill out the insurance forms. Those forms, according to the boyfriend, were found in Murray's car along with school books, clothing, and expensive jewelry. Isn't that crazy to you? That she had a diamond necklace she left in the back of that car?
That's the part I was going to say. One of the key things up there is that a diamond necklace. And also a favorite, there's a bunny, a rabbit, I think you come up. I don't know if it's in.
And that was like her favorite thing, her thing.
See, here, to me, it's weird. There's indications of sort of like a mental, there is indications of like a mental break of some kind, like even with the sister's call and her in a canatotic state. And I wonder if she goes in and out of a state, because she does pick up the insurance forms, but then she's reading about this crazy, life and death sort of thing. And and then she gets in this wreck. Did that set her into another state? And then you think, well, then she went off and did something to herself. However, there was no footprints in the snow from the car. So, I'm just wondering how. That's the part that's bugging you the most. How accurate was that?
I have to mute. I'm so sorry. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. I've got to mute here. I don't know what this is. Who keeps calling me?
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's the footprints are not having footprints, but how well did they really search to know that there were no footprints? That's the thing that could be a red herring, that they go, oh, there was no footprints, but do they really know that? And how do we know that maybe she didn't walk up a little ways and go into the woods somewhere else and put footprints, that it wasn't close to that scene? I don't know. That's what's holding people back. I remember, the Molly Tibbetts case, there was this red shirt that everybody, wow, then that means she must have done this and that and the other thing. But it turns out that we decided to throw the red shirt out because it was causing too many problems in the story. And it turns out the red shirt was a red herring the whole time. It had nothing to do with anything. So, yeah. So the thing is about the footprints, that's what keeps, once you say, wow, there's no footprints, now you have to say, you're forced to believe she started walking down the road, and as we'll find out, obviously, there's a dog scent and everything that leads to about 100 feet away, and it just disappears. Well, that makes people think that she got into a vehicle or something like that. One thing that I checked out the other day was on that very night, the wind was blowing exactly straight down the road in the opposite direction her car was facing. So the wind was pointing exactly in the direction north. In that, so you wonder, well, does that affect scent dogs in any way? I don't know.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I just rambled for a minute or two.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear a word you said. Unfortunately, I had a question.
Well, I was just talking about what I was basically to make it short was that the police saying that there's no footprints in the snow could be a huge red herring, that they just didn't look in the right place, that maybe she walked on the road and then cut across somewhere totally different. We don't really know. So the problem is now you have to say she did not go into the woods, and you're forced to have something else. And if it turns out that, that investigative portion was poorly done, then wow, people just, assumed a whole bunch of other things that, and the route of her just walking away through the woods was ignored more than it should have been, even though they have searched quite a bit for exactly that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, yeah, let's keep going through your.
In plain view, behind the driver's seat of the vehicle, I could see a box of Franzia wine. I could also see red liquid on the driver's side door and ceiling of the car. This is from the accident report. Then, in plain sight, behind the driver's seat of the vehicle, I could see a box of Franzia wine. I could also see red liquid on the driver's side door, ceiling of the car. Before the car was towed by Lavoie's Auto Care Center, the officer recovered a Coke bottle that contained a red liquid with a strong alcoholic odor. This came from the Cecil Smith's oxygen transcript. Box of wine behind driver's seat. That's on Disappeared, Miles to Nowhere podcast. A near empty box of wine was found inside. This was March 30th, 2013 from the Concord Monitor. Skarzina also said when Murray left the Amherst campus, she had with her a box of wine and bottles of vodka, Kahlua, and Bailey's Irish Cream. The box of wine, of which most had been spilled, was found in the car, but some of the other bottles were not found. This is according to the Caledonian Record on 7/1 of 2004. According to Helena Murray, a member of the extended family who manages the website, MauraMurrayMissing.com, a damaged box of Franzia wine was said to be in the passenger seat, but Smith's accident report states that the wine was in the back seat.
Yeah, God, see, stuff like that just drives me nuts. But the thing that's really important is that there was a bottle that had like Coke, but it had a scent of alcohol, right? That's a real thing that happened, right? See, that's the thing.
We believe so, sure.
Yeah, so it's likely.
I don't know
that she's driving and she's having a couple drinks. That's
Maybe,
what I mean. I don't. When you say likely, it sounds like it's a good possibility that she was driving, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, really, having a couple drinks, trying to head somewhere, and then her car spun out. I guess I'm doing theorizing again. But I'm just saying,
yes.
I mean, I want to be able to theorize, but at the same time, we're just trying to put out what they're saying. But there's even problems in what they're saying. They say.
Well, there can't be problems in what they're saying. There's problems with what we're.
Well, no, because what they're
getting
saying,
from what they're saying.
Well,
right?
No. I mean, there are, because you could say that one person says this and another person says that, contradicting exactly what the other person said. That are they. They're saying that the officials, and it's just like one guy said the wine was in the passenger seat, the other one said that it was behind the driver's seat. It just gets crazy. So that's where the problems are, as well as what you just said too. So
there was an emergency kit in her trunk, and there was a rag in her tailpipe stuffed into it. Now, her dad will later say that he suggested this. I guess there was going to be an issue with smoke coming out of the car, so she put a rag in her tailpipe to prevent the smoke and causing, attention to come to the car. So there's that.
Yeah, people still think that that's a big, the tailpipe with the rag. I mean, the dad explained it away so long ago, yet people still keep saying it over and over. It's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was down a little crack, maybe. A 2-liter bottle outside the driver door under the car. A spare key under the bumper. The rag in the tailpipe. The missing things. I'm not sure about this. Once we get to Maura's sister's videos, we'll be able to know better. The black backpack, a wallet, bank card with ATM and credit cards, maybe, cash, her driver's license, the Kahlua and vodka, her cell phone, and keys. What was found in the car was sky blue cooler, 8 of 12 of those, a Bailey's nip, the box of wine, and missing were the Kahlua and the vodka. Nobody really knows where those are.
Well, that's interesting. Almost like she got out of the car, grabbed a couple drinks. What's strange is that, again, she leaves this really valuable, probably diamond necklace. I don't know how much it was worth. Maybe it's kind of but diamond necklace. She didn't take her favorite stuffed animal. Just kind of grabbed something. I mean, she left with a backpack, though, right? So what was? But
we don't. I mean, I don't know what she could have put in. Maybe there was a lot of clothes in there. I don't know.
Be interesting to know what exactly was in the backpack, but I guess we'll never know because nobody's found the backpack, right?
Nope.
Well, I guess we could know at some point.
The initial search of the scene was Sergeant Cecil Smith, John Monaghan, a state trooper, fire, EMS, and locals. On foot, they searched both sides of Route 112. They searched Old Peters Road, they searched the game trail, and the weathered barn. In their vehicles, they searched. Butch Atwood did and John Monaghan did. We're going to go over where they searched exactly in 1 second. And the result was no sign of Maura whatsoever. And the footprints were strictly around her vehicle, and that's it. Here is Butch's loop that he made. Okay. So here's where everything begins. He took his personal vehicle around 7:55 p.m. and drove a loop to the Mountain Lakes area, to the Swiftwater Stage Shop, then to French Pond Road. One quote suggests 2 different paths. I took a ride around the back roads. I was gone about 15 minutes. Then I took a ride to French Pond.
I can show this on the screen. Yeah, I can do something that's easier.
Apologize.
I can do something. Bless you, by the way.
Excuse me.
Let me go to this other really quick, like this. That way we don't have to worry. Yeah, it looks like it's right like this, right? So on your, wasn't that lake? Yeah, right. There's that lake that's on your picture on the left. So he did a loop like this. I don't really, and then he must have came down like this, and then around. Yeah, I can see that. Yep, just like that. And then here's where the accident was, right there.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Let me get back to the. There you go.
This is what the lieutenant did, and this is per the Google Maps, right? This is estimated. This says that, number 1, he started at or near Lisbon. He comes driving down here, all the way down to the 70 Wild Amanasuk Road. That is just a crazy name. Yeah. He arrives at the Weathered Barn corner, turns around, and heads towards Swiftwater here. He searches around this area, Swiftwater, French Pond Road, goes up here to Woodsville, back around 302, and down 112 back to the beginning. He indicates he stopped searching when the tow truck driver was dispatched. So he came from Lisbon, arrived at the scene, talked to Cecil Smith. He turned his car around, went towards Swiftwater, took a right on Porter Road, checked the area called Big Eddy, which is a parking lot, drove into Woodsville, drove to Swiftwater Road, back into the area of Swiftwater from Woodsville, where Cottage Hospital is, took a right onto French Pond Road, and drove out because there are a lot of side roads. Didn't see anyone at the Mountain Lakes area, and ended searching when the tow truck drivers were dispatched.
What time was that at?
This was
that was that one. Okay, that was that
yes,
one.
This is John's account of everything. So he overheard on the radio the call, and then he started to search. And he found nothing either. Now, on February 11th, this is the first official search that was documented. New Hampshire Fish and Game, Bloodhound was used, a helicopter, and trained searchers. They covered about 10 miles here from the crash site to Bradley Hill Road, and the dog tracked from where her car crashed twice. Both times they ended down the road near the Atwood home on Bradley Hill Road, which you can see here. So here's the crash. And then there is where the dogs lost the scent, right here.
And Atwood's just south of where you're pointing. That little white cover, it looks white in that picture, but it's south, right there. Yeah, that's his house. Huh. So yeah.
Here's what the helicopter did there.
Was that an actual photo from the time, or?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually, the lost scent a lot farther than they said. They said it was like 100 feet from the car. I just measured it. It's like 400 where that circle is. A little bit further than they say a lot. They always say it's like 100 feet.
Yeah, it's like right here. And I believe this is one of these two, I think this is the one you showed me, was Atwood's house. The next official search was February 19th, 2004. They used 3 K-9 teams, a helicopter, and then state police, fish and game officers. And this is, this is the woods nearby where they ended up searching. They didn't find anything. Official search 3 was May 8th, 2004. New Hampshire Fish and Game, 15 fish and game officers, 6 dogs from New England Canine and Upper Valley Wilderness, and a helicopter. So this is approximated search range. Circle is for illustration only, as the search seemed to follow the roads the searchers created segments to study. So from here down the 112 and up 116 to the Franconia area, nothing.
So let me look at that. So 112. I'm just trying to see it on the map. It merges. What's the radius on that? Do they give any of that information?
I don't have the exact radius, but I can point you to the place where I got it. I can send you the link, but it just had this photo, so I don't know.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's over. So that's a pretty large area there.
Then you had search 5. I'm not sure what the 4th one was, but this was May 8th. New Hampshire Fish and Game, 100 searchers, including state troopers and conservation officers, and they did line grid searches of this area.
And is that's that road just by the Atwood house, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And that's called Bradley Hill Road, looks like.
Then the New Hampshire League of Investigators got involved, and here's what they've done. Route 112 at the scene of the accident and Old Peters Road. Unoccupied A-frame and curtilage near the command post. Permission from David Real Estate. Wooded area and hiking trail adjacent to the command post. The land on French Pond Road owned by Richard D. Moulton. Land on French Pond Road owned by Antonio Lagardo. French Pond Access Road and Pond Area. Morrill Construction Gravel Pit. Intersection of Valley Road and Swiftwater Circle. Junction Route 112 and Route 116. Beaver Pond Scenic Area about 12 miles east of the accident scene. And then 2 turns out just east of the above. So their members, dog teams from Connecticut, searchers and volunteers, 6 areas near the site, a 5-mile radius of the Saturn. Dogs hit on the A-frame house. A carpet sample was collected, and a cadaver dog hit on a spot off of Old Peters Road.
Let me do the...
And then there you go with the little map here. This might help you create one of your maps, which may be much easier for us to see.
Yeah.
But this is 2-day search. They hit all of these places. They had a lot of people out there trying to come up with something.
When you look at if you just looked at like this, I mean, this is the 5-mile radius. I just had that other circle for the hell of it earlier, but this one
from the accident site out.
But look at if she walked away, and they, and the whole red herring thing with the footprints. Look at this space over here. I mean, it is absolutely not a soul for miles and miles and miles from that spot. Look at that. It just goes. I mean, there's some people there, but it's just a really, desolate area almost. I mean, there isn't a soul around.
Well, I mean, there is snow on the ground too, so we've got to remember that there were people who were up there: the fire, the EMS, the first officer, the state trooper. You had Butch, all looking to see if they could find some footprints that may have gone off into the snow. Now, if it had just been a solo officer who said, I didn't see any footprints, I didn't see anything, then I could see what you're saying. Maybe he just didn't notice them.
But maybe let's say, let me just throw this out. Like she walks down that road, passes Atwood's house, goes around the corner, then she goes off in the woods. Did they look that detailed? Like every single possible spot where she could have stepped into the woods? Is it that much, or is it just kind of around the car they didn't see footprints? See, that's what I'm wondering.
No, they definitely found footprints around the Saturn right there.
Well, I mean into the woods by the car. They didn't find that, right? Is that the only place they looked for the footprints in the snow, was near the Saturn in the woods? Because that's what they were looking for, to see if
search map footprints off of the roadways, a 10-mile radius. This is the crash site. Mm-hmm. This is all woods.
Yeah.
Here.
That's even bigger than the 5 that circle I just gave you.
This was the very first search 2 days later.
And man,
they used the bloodhound, and the helicopter with the.
I mean, a 10-mile radius is a huge area. How many? Did they? How accurately could you have searched it given the number of people they had? I mean, that's 100 square miles or so. I mean, I don't know if it's that.
So much. New Hampshire Fish and Game. How many people did they have?
The heat-seeking helicopter. That would have been pretty compelling that she wasn't in the area. It should have picked something up, especially in the snow. But if
they had that.
But if she died and then they didn't check the search for a while, her body temperature in that cold temperature could have been cooled. How quickly did they get the helicopter out, I guess, is a question.
Let me see something. New Hampshire Fish and Game. I don't know how many searchers they have, but I'm sure once we dig even more into the search, we can find out how many searchers came out that first time.
Yeah.
That I don't know the answer to.
And here's what sucks is the thing that I'm speculating on, that the footprints are a red herring. We'll never get to have an answer to that.
No.
So there's no chance to get an answer. So, I'm speculating on it just to open up doors for other things, but at the same time, that's not what they said. So.
Well, because they've searched so much and they've had the dogs and the people and everybody looking to see if there was even a glimpse. And they started early and they went on for months and months.
Yeah, I mean, Fred
Her
was out
family
there.
was up there every weekend for over a year searching every nook and cranny that they could. And, the searchers, and they had 6 cadaver dogs out there. They looked over here.
You know what I'd
that
like to
house
know is,
somebody did hit on, though, which was interesting, and they got some samples from that. But
I'd like to have some, like an expert tracker, because I mean, I'm sometimes confused at how that actually works. Like somebody starts walking, they have shoes on. How does the dog scent them? Are they scenting some weird particles that we don't know about that are on the bottom of their shoes that are on the ground, right? Or is it scent in the air that the dog is picking up on because as they traveled? And if that's true, wouldn't wind dramatically affect that? I mean, because it would.
We should try and find an expert.
Yeah, because you get people that always have different comments about it, and it's just I want somebody that actually knows the answer.
Well, I do know someone who comes on to cracking cases. She is a dog handler. She's a trained, so we can maybe get somebody like that to come up and explain to us. 2004 to 2005, family and friends of Maura's searched many times. Every weekend for a year, her dad and family would come to search. Again, in 2008, more after the basic searches were over, dog teams and licensed private investigators searched the wooded areas of Haverhill. And there has still been no sign of Maura. After all of that searching.
God, it's such a tight window, too. It's like 27. See, that's where I'm thinking when Atwood went and called 911, he probably went home first, checked the accident to see if he needed to call 911, flashed his light, then he went home. That's why his call is so much later. And so that's why there's a 60-minute gap. So that means you could even narrow it down more. Like when he got to her car, was that like at 7:37 or something? And that's like a 10-minute window between the 911 call. Because he might have driven by at like 7:35. Or even, hell, it could have even been 7:30, and he drove by, goes home, gets his flashlight somewhere, walks back down there, maybe takes him a few minutes, then he goes and flashes his light in there, and then she says, well, don't call 911, maybe he didn't have a cell phone, right? So then he walks all the way back to his house, because he's told her he was going to call. He hadn't called yet. See, that's a good piece of evidence there, that when he was talking to her, he hadn't called 911 yet, right? That means he'd made it home first, because he parked his car.
His statement says he sees her, he speaks to her, he tells her, do you want to get in my car? I will take you to my house. You can stay warm until I can call the police.
Right.
She says, please don't call. I've already called AAA. He asks if she's sure. She says yes. He drives away, gets to his house, which is directly right there. We see how close it is.
Yeah.
And calls 911. That's what he said.
Well, so that's what I said then. But he probably went home first, parked his car, and then went to talk to her, right? He didn't leave his bus in the middle of the road, right?
He stopped his car, his bus. He was in the bus, dropping off. They just had a field trip. So as he's driving home, he sees the car on the side of the road.
Oh, so he did have the bus with him. Okay.
Yes, he stops and talks to her.
Because I thought earlier
and then he
when
drives
I got
home.
You said we were talking about that he parked it at home. Then he went back out.
No. No. He sees her. He talks to her. He drives home, gets out, and goes inside and calls.
So he must have stopped the bus, got out, apparently, because he flashed his light in there. Right? So he had
Did he?
Well, he says he did, right?
But he also says that he saw her outside of the car. He also says that he doesn't see her face because she's covered by an airbag, but he knows that it's a female.
Yeah.
So it's 3 different accounts that we'll have to really dig into to understand, and we'll probably use all of the newspaper articles, right? To go through his interviews and see where does it change exactly. Or does it change? Is that just some myth?
Right.
That it never changed and it's always been the same. I can tell you it's changed.
Well, here's the thing. He seems like he'd be an unlikely perpetrator given the fact that he's calling 911 to bring the police to the crime scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I do not think that Butch Atwood is a suspect in my mind. I don't think that he jumped out and did something to her, and then because at 7:27 to 7:30, you've got Faith and her husband looking out the window. They don't see Butch out there, so it's not within that time frame.
Yeah.
So, and they're glancing, and there's also another neighbor who's in his kitchen, and he's looking out to see what's going on, and he did see several cars pass by. Nobody ever sees anybody stop right there at the accident scene to take her away. In my mind, I thought, well, maybe she had somebody's number and she was able to get in touch and say, my car's out of commission, come get me.
Yeah.
But in what period of time? 5 to 7 minutes? Impossible. Because who would she know in that neighborhood who could come get her within 5 minutes? Nobody. And, it brings us back to other cases where it has to be the perfect storm for something like this to happen. So your car stalls, you've got somebody already calling 911. Now you have a bus driver passing you saying he's going to call 911 for you. You want to get out of Dodge. So you walk down the road and a psycho picks you up and takes you away forever.
That's the worst case scenario in terms of ever trying to figure out what happened.
Sure.
Because that's just, the luck, bad luck of the world, that you just happen to be walking when a serial killer like Psycho drives by, says, hey, do you need a ride? She's like, oh, yeah, because she wants to get away from the scene. So she's not, there's no, she's just embarrassed about what happened. Obviously, it's going to lead back to her because it's her car, but she just doesn't want to deal with it. She just got in the wreck the day before. I've had it, man. Get me the hell out of here. Grabs the first thing she can, gets in a car, boom, out of here, right? and that person turns out to be a nefarious person. That would be a theory, right? I mean, it's
sure.
And not even a crappy one, because that does happen. It has happened.
You would think the most logical explanation, because nothing of hers was ever used again, would be she walked off into the woods.
That would be the most logical.
Here's where it gets screwed up, right? So if she walks off into the woods, and you got the hypothermia factor, right? And a lot of times they'll take stuff off, as we know.
And she was already cold, right? Remember?
She was already cold, right? Yeah, but when you get to that state of mind, don't you feel like you're hot?
Yeah.
And you begin to take things off.
The paradoxical...
They've never found one thing of hers. Not the backpack, not the liquor, not the cell phone, not the keys, not the coat, not her shoe, not a sock. Yeah. Nothing has ever been found in all of those searches of all of those people and dogs.
Although that isn't 100%
crazy.
Yeah, except, I mean, that's called paradoxical undressing.
Absolutely.
But it's also not something that happens every time. It's just something that can happen. So there you go. So there you go. Now
come on, Gray Hughes.
No, but it's true.
Let's take it back to our first case, Kanika Jenkins.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, people were just saying the reason her shoe was, I don't buy any of that her shoe was off because of paradoxical undressing. But I think it's just that sometimes people do that, sometimes they don't. But your body apparently does feel like it's superheating as it attempts to, I can't remember exactly what it was, like adrenaline pumps in there, and then you feel like you're really hot, so you start undressing even though you're freezing to death.
But for my mind to be able to be okay with that, I would say something, because if we just quickly look back here, right? Just really fast look back at the contents of the car.
Seemed like you just grabbed something really quick and got out.
Backpack, wallet, bank cards, cash, driver's license, Kahlua, vodka, cell phone, keys.
I think she was. See, here's the thing. To me, it almost seems like
they're all
I'm not
missing.
sure if she's manic or schizophrenic or whatever, but like she can be in extreme moods, and she was in a good mood, having a couple drinks, driving, trying to get away from the stress of the accident and just kind of get away for a little bit. And then she's drinking, and then her car crashes again. I mean, what a devastating mental situation that would have been.
Let's think about that. I mean, she was in West Point, and they do put you through a lot.
And yet
would they have noticed that she had this type of personality in extreme stress, or
why did
positions
she leave?
They put her in?
Why did she leave West Point?
She left voluntarily, actually.
Because, right?
No. We think it's because. I know. I said the same thing, right? Until I dug. And then what you find out is she attended an entire semester after that with no issues whatsoever.
Maybe it just hadn't been brought up yet, but it was coming.
Well, that's going to be brought up because our next episode is the past.
Well, I mean, the issue wasn't brought up it was at the school
she
yet.
Had already it was brought up, and they were going to determine what the outcome was going to be, considering the fact that it was under $5, and she still stayed there another semester. So
had they given the outcome of what their decision was going to be yet?
We'll get to that in the next episode.
Okay.
So this is the end of this one. We've been here for 2 hours. This is a long one for us.
Yeah, it's a long one.
This is probably one I could talk about all day. We could stay on here 8 hours and but to organize the information.
But as you can tell, I'm going to be the Scully, and she's going to be the Mulder, even though I'm the dark-haired one and she's the redhead. Just like it doesn't match the looks, but anyways.
Yes, this is how we're going to do this, I guess. So,
I don't know. I see the stuff that you're seeing. I'm just trying to come up with a little bit more of, kind of like the possibility. I don't know. Right now, it's hard to tell exactly, where we're differing, because I think I see the same thing you are. I'm just talking. The only part that we seem to disagree on, I don't think we were knowing what we were talking about. What I was saying was that his 911 call, you know.
Yeah, Butch. We definitely differ on Butch because.
Well, I don't know because
there's nothing that tells me that he did any of that.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I mean, we don't differ on Butch. I don't think he's related to it or anything. I'm just saying his call is much later because he was there and then he had to go. I mean, you know, then he talked for a while, then he goes home and then he calls. You know,
I just think it's different because he drove past a little later. Are you going to work, honey? Okay.
Yeah. Like he drove by at like 7:36 or something, right?
Exactly.
Says something.
That's exactly what I think. Yep.
Yeah.
Because by the time they arrived on the scene, there was only 3 minutes between them arriving and his phone call. She was already gone.
Yeah, and she had already.
So he had just seen her.
Mm-hmm.
He had just seen her, and she was gone.
Yeah.
He just witnessed her. And went to his house and called the police.
So we think the same thing, except I originally thought that he had gone home with the bus first, walked there, and got there at 7:36, asked the questions, and then walked back, made the 911 call. Now it just has to be that he drove by at maybe 7:37 or, you know, something like that, got out of his car. She said, don't call 911, but he did it. He wanted to do anyway, so he drove home, parked, got out, called at 7:43. All right? That's it. No, that's what we just. The only thing that was different was originally I thought he had gone home first, walked there. Instead, it turns out he parked his bus on the middle of a road, which is weird around a curve to do that. But you know, we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not a very busy road either, though.
We don't know exactly where he put it either. We're just, you know, those are the kinds of things that they didn't say in the paper. Like, where did he park that bus? We don't know.
I mean, he didn't park it. He just stopped. He just stopped.
Well, wouldn't he pull over to get it out of the road?
No.
Well,
he's just driving up the road.
So he's driving and he just stops his car and he gets out.
Right. No, he didn't get out.
Well, he says he did.
We're going to get into this on the next episode.
Okay.
So you
just believe he didn't
Maura Murray's story.
Okay, anyways. All right.
We're going to end the podcast here, and we're going to talk to our YouTube audience.
Oh, I thought we already were. Okay. All right.
No, we weren't. All right. So that's the end of that. Cut that here. And there you go. Let me stop sharing.
Oh, let me get to the other one. Thanks for giving me the heads up. 3, 2, 1.
When I say it's over, Gray. No. Yeah. All right. So now you're making me not stop sharing my screen. It's not being shared anymore, right?
No. Yeah. What's going on? Good. Somehow you got put some weird place. Huh? All right, let's just go to this one. There we go.
Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah.
So.
See how mean she is, you guys?
Well, because I want the podcast to be right. Right?
I think it was. So, I thought it was therefore, good. You know, we brought up you know, the basic stuff. You know, it's hard not to say something though when
it's not that hard, Gray. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? The guy, the Atwood fella, he does say, you know, other things. He does. So I'm going to read you just something here really quickly, okay? Atwood lived with his wife, Barbara, in a log cabin style home 210 yards east of the Westmans. He lived at 4 Wild Anamusk Road. He was on his way home after dropping off students following a skiing field trip. His home is on the town line with the neighboring town of Bath. He stopped by the scene of the accident and saw a young woman alone in the car, who he later identified as Maura Murray. Her hair was dark. It was hanging down. It was not in a bun. That's how she typically wore it. He said he could clearly see her face. She was shook up, but not injured. I saw no blood. She was cold and shivering. She was struggling to get out of her satin because the car door was hitting against a snowbank, he recalled.
And by satin, she means Saturn. Okay, everybody.
Yeah, she couldn't get out of the Saturn.
The satin? The satin? She couldn't get out of her satin dress? Is that? I mean, that's what it sounded like, satin. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Maura struggled to get out of the car because the door was hitting against a snowbank. Atwood recalled this when interviewed for the story from his home in Florida. There was as much as 2.5 feet of snow on the ground in the area. Now, here's this. Atwood stepped out of his bus and in the middle of the road.
Okay, but he did step out.
And asked her if she wanted him to call the police. Maura said, "Don't bother. I already called AAA." A New Hampshire State Police synopsis released by Lieutenant John Scarzina 4 months later painted a different view of the encounter. When the passerby stated he was going to call local law enforcement to come assist, Maura pleaded with him not to call the police. Atwood said Maura remained on the driver's side of her car 15 to 20 feet away and stayed there during the entire conversation. He is a heavy-set man, about 60 years old.
Hey, wait, hold on before you keep going. I could read that differently the way that's written. See, look at it. She stayed on the driver's side of the car 15 or 20 feet away from where he was.
I thought she was in the car.
Right. No, but...
Now she's out of the car.
No, but no, that's what you're assuming. So read that part again. Read it again.
Oh, no.
No, read it again. Read it again.
Believe me. I know. You know how I know?
No,
he says what height she is.
Okay, but the thing is in that sentence though, he says
this guy here,
he could be 15 feet away from where she is in the front of in the driver's side of the car. See, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah, okay.
Except now he's going to say she's this tall and this tall, so forget it. Okay.
Anyway, Atwood offered to let her wait at his house, but she said she will wait with her car. He advised her to turn her car lights on to avoid getting hit by vehicles. He left the scene and drove 100 yards to his home. He doubted that she could have reached AAA due to the sparse cell phone coverage in the area. I knew better, he said. Family friend Sharon Rausch, Bill's mom maybe, confirmed that AAA did not receive a call from her. Based on his recollection and the times reported in the dispatch log, Atwood's conversations with Maura could only have lasted a couple of minutes. After Atwood drove away, Faith Westman noticed the Saturn's interior lights switch on and off and witnessed a flurry of activity in the rear of the car, including a person standing at the trunk. This is according to the private investigator, John Smith, who spoke with the Westmans after the accident. Do you see why we have to go over one thing at a time here,
no,
sir?
But you're on this side of me. Well, she got out of the car after Atwood.
We're doing all of this now when we're not supposed to do this yet.
Yeah, I was wondering what you were doing. So we'll just do it again later. But anyways.
Oh, my God. Listen.
Well, that has to be recorded.
We're cutting this part out.
I said the witnesses are in another podcast. You just wouldn't let go of Butch.
Hey, man, I think he was just...
See what I have to deal with, guys?
You had to get it out, man.
Oh, my God. Friggin' Ray Hughes, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
The past, her experiences at school, as well as her boyfriend will be discussed on the next show. These will be probably done once a week with other things in between when we come on, I think, because there's just too much. There's so much to put in. This one here took days. So there are two other really interesting things that Gray has for us to be talking about too. Two of the stories that he sent me this week that I think we should do on here. Gray, what do you think? Yeah,
I think that, especially the one that isn't really known as a true crime story. It was some freak, one of the freaks sent me an email talking about how her...
Don't tell anybody what it is.
I'll just say that, talking about how
secret.
Her father-in-law passed away, who was the son of this other guy that turns out
this other dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. Looney Tunes, man, Looney Tunes.
So we should definitely do that one. Because like I said, these are going to take at least a week to put together and then send to Gray a full day ahead of time so that he's with me. We're kind of doing this like
a little bit like
Stephanie and Derek.
That's how they do it. I was just thinking, because I went and found all these newspaper articles, but you're doing it a different way with the it's hard to do at the same time. Like, I just sent you some stuff that changed a little thing, some stuff. Like how
you sent me some stuff to change?
Well, no, not that. I said I sent you the screenshots that changes what he said. Like Atwood actually said she was drunk, you know, or not drunk, but intoxicated.
And then I have proof Atwood says she wasn't.
Did he tell the officer that she was? See, I believe that. Here's what I think. I think he told the truth.
I'm going to show you later. Why are we getting into Atwood? Oh, he's the witness guy. Okay. We got to get off here. I love you.
But it is similar. Yeah, I guess it is similar. Yeah, because you're gonna have I just have the bare bone, the part that I focus in on, and then she's got all the other crazy stuff going on in there.
Yeah, that's the crazy. Gray covers like 500 cases a year, and then I pick out these cases that I'm like, I need to know every detail.
Yeah,
poor Gray.
I get
probably
stuck
just
in
like. Why? Because I have to. I don't know why. I have to have every detail. It's like some kind of disorder. I'm not really sure what's happening here, but if I showed you the amount of tabs that are open right now on my computer, you'd probably be ashamed of me.
No.
It's got to be at least 40.
Yeah, and basically all the stuff that we're coming up with in this podcast are stuff that other people have obviously done. It's like there's almost nothing
original that we can
you might be able to come up with an original sort of flow of the theories or something, but that's even going to be tough because so many people have talked about it.
And the thing that we're not doing are taking people's theories or people's opinions. I am very careful not to include any of those in the stuff that I'm presenting Gray with, so that we can present to you guys. We do not want to. Our main goal here is to be very respectful of Maura and her family, and we're definitely not going to go down the road of this person thinks that Butch killed her, and we're not going to do any of that craziness. But bringing together all of what are tangible things is very difficult because there's so much coverage. So taking pieces from this article and matching it to that podcast and putting this with this investigator's note with this from her sister, it's a lot of searching because you don't want to just pick something out of a news article and be like, oh yeah, that's 100% right.
And you don't even know what really is tangible sometimes because there's something that's reported and then it's reported differently over here. And so you would think, well, both of those are tangible.
That's why I want to cross-reference it all because it makes me crazy.
You got to figure out a way to determine which is more likely based on other information that might be out there.
Absolutely.
And I agree. And I go out of my way actually. I don't watch a lot of YouTubers. Like I really hardly watch anybody because when I'm mainly a lot of it's not even mainly. I don't want to have somebody else's opinion in my head before I get to look at it and talk, because no matter what people say, hearing other opinions on what happened does get into your head and it'll affect what you think. And a lot of times I cover cases that nobody's ever talked about. So thankfully there is nobody's opinion other than the one that I'm going to have after I'm going through it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not relying on any casual accounts. Sometimes you'll see a YouTuber does one video on a topic such as Maura's story, and then they're doing other things, or there's one post out there. I'm not listening to any of that. Only the there's a really long podcast about it, and they have dug into every nook and cranny you can possibly imagine. And then her sister, I'm really relying a lot on what her sister's saying.
I hope she lets us play some of those in a row.
I hope so.
Because she is, I would call her probably the best source, like there it is, right?
Yeah. And she, sadly, she's not the easiest person to get in touch with, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
If you're out there,
wait.
Check.
Hold on.
Did she just respond?
You were so right. Aha. No, the other lady who did the podcast. We actually just completed video. One. All right. So
yeah, but it is kind of a little bit like Stephanie and the Derek guy, because you're the one that puts together the slideshows, because you have this really cool. I mean, I don't even know what you showed me the program, but I don't have time anymore to just learn something new like that. I mean, I'm getting a new computer here pretty soon, so I'm gonna have to spend all this time. I mean, what a nightmare that is. It's great getting a new computer, but transferring all the stuff over there. Yeah.
Right.
And you're sort of like her a little bit, like, you know, you gotta know every little tiny little detail. Yeah. And I like to get into the details when I think it's significant. Like, okay. Like,
well, I told you I didn't understand what exactly was going on, you know, how they were doing stuff. But I like the method now, you know, so I'm sending you this. I need to send it to you earlier because that's kind of not fair. But
yeah,
you already know the basics of Maura. So if I'm sending this to you, then we can have a discussion about it, which I think is good.
Yeah, I mean, I know all the stuff that's not the crazy little detail stuff, like, you know, just the story. I've known it for a while. I mean, I covered it a couple times a long time ago. Just sort of the basic, you know, mapping. Here's where it happened. Pretty crazy, you know. I mean, it's funny. The nuts and bolts really don't change very much. It's just sort of like, here she is. She drove around this curve. Her car crashed.
No.
These people went, and she disappeared off the face of the earth.
Oh my goodness, Becky! Absolutely not.
What happened? What happened? I was talking to you.
I know, but it's such a huge story. I can't. No.
No, but that's is the nuts and bolts.
Simplistic.
That is.
I mean, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sure.
That she was driving her car, heading somewhere. It sounds like. I mean, I actually mapped out where she probably was heading.
You guys see that he's trying to murder me, right now? That he's killing me here.
Well, don't you think, though, we were talking about the other day, though? We'll probably get to that one point where she was maybe headed, though, and how she may have made that wrong turn in that one spot.
Yeah.
Because
we're going to get there.
Sharp angle.
Mr. Hughes.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Bama. Listen, it's over. It's time for us to go, Gray.
No, I want to stay. God, are you kidding me? I got to get the hell out of here.
All right. You can't stay.
Thank you to Jessica Schubach.
Please hit the like button
Emily
on your way out.
And Bama forever. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
If you guys would like to become a channel member, we're gonna make our donations on a quarterly basis now.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of to do a bigger chunk. So we donate a quarter of the channel, the net revenue of the channel, to charities. So there you go.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks, I've loved spending all this time with you today.
I know it's been a little bit too much time, but look at her face. All right, you guys. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time. We love you. And bye-bye. Oh, wait. Be safe out there. All right, everybody?
Please be safe out there because we love you so much.
All right.
Bye. Oh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, wait. We're still on.
Ay. Pom pom. Huh?
I like that part.
Yeah, like that. I'm like a DJ. What the hell?
All right.
Nobody did anything to you. Shush.
All right.